The heat across Colorado.
It'll be hot for one more day, but this cold front's going to change everything. I'll let you know when it arrives.
And you may not be happy about the heat wave, but some local scientists are.
It sounded like a really neat opportunity to be involved in sort of a climate-oriented study.
So scientists can figure out why those spaces are heating up faster than others.
Former White House advisor Steve Bannon found guilty of contempt of Congress. He plans to appeal.
They will never shut me up and never shut me down. Thank you, gentlemen.
Colorado takes another step towards decriminalizing psychedelic mushrooms.
This does help with things like anxiety, PTSD, and depression.
But not everyone is on board.
This is going to be very, very bad for the state of Colorado.
Happy Friday, and thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News at 5. I'm Ann Trujillo.
I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're here tonight. And first for you tonight, former White House advisor Steve Bannon found guilty of contempt of Congress for ignoring the January 6th committee.
Bannon was on trial for defying a subpoena from the House Select Committee that's investigating the riot on the U.S. Capitol. Bannon served as former President Donald Trump's chief strategist before leaving the White House in 2017. And today, he and his attorney hinted that they will likely appeal the court's decision.
We respect the decision. We may have lost a battle here today, but we're not going to lose this war. By the way, one last thing. I stand with Trump and the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Bannon will be sentenced in October and faces up to 2 years in prison.
Right now, more than 100 million Americans on alert for dangerously high temperatures, including some of us here in Colorado. Now, all the areas you will see in orange, there you go, are under heat advisory until 8 o'clock tonight, temperatures soaring near 100 degrees. There's also a new fire. This is forcing evacuations in the town of Parachute, about 45 minutes from Grand Junction. Crews are getting control of the flames here and right now say no homes will be damaged. Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson joins us now with this weather action day.
And Mike, the good news is there will be some relief on the way, right?
And it's not that far away. Right now we have some clouds that have done us a favor, kept the temperatures below 100 degrees here in the Denver area. The high's been 98, the same at Greeley, 99 at Fort Collins, 102 at Ray, and 103 at Burlington, and out west at Grand Junction, it's still 103 there. We're 95 in the Denver area now, and triple digits out on the eastern plains at this time. That is, again, the heat advisory, northeast Colorado, as well as the Grand Valley. The temperatures today have been anywhere from 95 to 105. They will slowly decrease during the evening hours, but the weather headlines do hold some good news. One more really hot day coming up. We'll get some thunderstorms late tomorrow afternoon, and they'll be coming in as a cold front pushes into the state. Cooler storms likely on Sunday, and cooler and wetter weather's on the way for next week. You're going to like the 7-day forecast.
It sounds like it. All right. Thank you, Mike. You know, all day today, a team of volunteers is helping the National Weather Service take readings of the high heat. And this is all part of a study about how we can reduce the impacts of extreme temperatures. Denver 7's Christian Lopez spent the morning with the volunteers.
Our cities are getting hotter and hotter.
While you may be trying to escape those hot temperatures, a group in Boulder is sweating it out, all in the name of science.
People are essentially going to be taking these sensors that we got from NOAA and Kappa Strategies, who helped us organize this event, and driving around different pre-designated routes around the city of Boulder, collecting heat temperature data, seeing where that heat's being distributed.
The goal? To find where the hot and dry weather poses the greatest risk.
Target these hot areas and implement nature-based climate solutions. Things like tree planting and pollinator gardens to try and cool down those areas. Obviously, it needs people to volunteer, and it sounded really cool, so I was happy to come out.
A cool, hot job. Some volunteers drove.
We will be driving what's called a traverse, or a route. It's about 30 minutes at a slow speed through a certain set route in Boulder, and this will gather the information as we drive through the neighborhood.
Others felt the heat on bikes or on foot.
We walked around Boulder and we took different data. We took temperature data and infrared pictures of different surfaces, so like asphalt, grass. We took pictures by the creek, and we were trying to figure out where was cooler and where was hotter.
Organizers telling us they were so thankful many people in the community stepped up to help.
What we want to do is map that heat, figure out which areas are the hottest, and figure out how we can cool those areas down.
In Boulder, Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
And the data collected today will take about 6 to 8 weeks to process before the results are published.
You can always get the latest weather forecast right on the Denver 7 Plus app. You can also get weather for your neighborhood 24/7 on thedenverchannel.com. Well, a lawsuit's been filed against the Episcopal Diocese of Colorado alleging child sexual abuse. Lawyers representing a Colorado man allege former Reverend Jerry Mckenzie abused this victim starting when he was 16 years old back in the 1990s. The victim said he knows of other victims of Mckenzie and hopes the lawsuit will lead to more people coming forward. Reverend Mckenzie was forced to resign in 2000 following allegations of sexual misconduct. The diocese has responded to the lawsuit, saying in part, their prayers go out to the victims.
Denver's district attorney has formally charged the man Denver police shot at this weekend in a crowded downtown. 21-year-old Jordan Waddy faces 3 counts of possession of a weapon by a previous offender and 1 count of third-degree assault. The 3 officers who shot at Waddy, while also injuring 6 innocent bystanders, are on paid administrative leave. Excuse me, the Denver DA is still reviewing whether the officers' actions that night were legally justified.
President Biden's physicians say the president's COVID symptoms, have improved since he tested positive. The president has taken additional medications to address his temperature and his cough. He's also taking Pfizer's antiviral drug, Paxlovid.
Psychedelic mushrooms will be on the November ballot here in Colorado.
So voters will be asked if those mushrooms containing psilocybin and psilocin should be decriminalized for those 21 and older.
Denver 7's Colette Bordelon is taking this debate 360, going in depth on what the ballot measure allows and how this bill could help people in our state.
Every chord for Alan Floyd
I have a terminal illness.
is an escape.
I was told I had 2 years to live.
He has cancer and tried traditional treatments first.
None of them worked. 4 of them made me completely suicidal.
A few years ago, the federal right to try law was passed, which allows certain patients to access treatments that don't have FDA approval, like these psychedelic mushroom capsules Floyd started taking.
In clinical trials of depression, they're finding that 60 to 80% of participants are reporting an immediate and substantial decrease in depression.
Floyd says they've helped him, but he is wary of what could happen in the coming years.
I think everyone has to tread very carefully with legalization.
This year, Colorado voters will decide whether or not to decriminalize what supporters are calling natural medicines, meaning certain plant or fungi-based psychedelics.
And they're asking for the freedom to choose to heal in their own way.
Those behind the measure claim Colorado's approach to mental health has failed and that the federal government will take years to act. But Coloradans should be able to access natural medicines now. So what they want to do is remove criminal penalties for personal use of psychedelic mushrooms for people 21 and up. But people younger than 21 could still be charged with a drug offense.
This is going to be very, very bad for the state of Colorado.
Jeff Hunt will not be voting for this initiative.
Any time that commercialized drugs have wreaked havoc on our communities, it all started out under the guise of it being some type of health-related solution.
So many signatures that Initiative 58 will be on the November ballot. If passed, it would create the Natural Medicine Advisory Board by January of next year. The qualifications and training for facilitators of the natural medicine would be outlined within a year. Healing centers could start applying by September of 2024. 2 years later, in June of 2026, the board could decide to broaden natural medicine to other psychedelics. The state and advisory board will determine the exact timeline during the implementation process.
We want to make sure that these prices aren't getting so out of hand.
There's also a retroactive element in the measure, meaning records could be expunged. For patients, the natural medicines would be administered at healing centers, but anything grown outside of a healing center by an individual cannot be sold.
This is about making money off the backs of drug-addicted Coloradans.
He's concerned the psychedelics would become commercialized, like cannabis did. But the way the measure is written aims to avoid that.
Mandating that a single individual or entity cannot own more than 5 healing center locations.
Proponents don't want to see recreational dispensaries for natural medicine.
I don't want to see the pharmaceutical companies having a stranglehold on this medicine.
And with so many sides to this story,
ask ourselves, is this really going to make our state a better place?
Voters have a lot to think about. With photojournalist Jacob Curtis, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
And going deeper tonight, psychedelic mushrooms have already been decriminalized in a few U.S. cities, including the entire state of Oregon. Back in 2020, Oregon became the first state to both decriminalize psilocybin and legalize it for therapeutic use. Oregon's Measure 109 allows the state to establish a regulated and licensed psilocybin therapy program. Applications for the program will begin in January of 2023.
He's chasing me with a giant knife around the community. He has a giant machete in his hand. Somebody needs to get here now.
De-escalating the situation.
We don't want anyone to get hurt at all.
Wheat Ridge Police give us a closer look at how officers safely took a man into custody who is allegedly chasing others with a machete.
We all mess up. I'm talking to you right now because I care, bro. I care.
And a Colorado woman stops to help a dog in need. Instead, she was attacked and yelled at by the dog's owner.
It was horrific. It was the worst. I don't wish that on anybody. I was just trying to help the dog.
And making sure their voices are heard too.
We're taking you behind the scenes of a special program in Denver, helping young girls find themselves through music.
It's important to feel confident in who you are